Hello and welcome back to our course in object-oriented programming. So far, we have seen the basics of object-oriented programming, which was basically the discussion on why we do this. We said that we focus not so much on the how we do things with loops and data structures, but on what we are doing, what concepts we are implementing. You can go back to the session about basics for lots of examples. Here in object-oriented programming, we will work with classes that are these ideas that we are implementing. Classes we said are abstract, and then we have objects that are the instances of those classes. And again, go back to the first session for details on this. We also said that we do object-oriented programming because we want our code to be easier to read and to be easier to reuse. And as we will see today, also easier to extend, and we will be speaking about how this making code easier to reuse and extend to add functionalities to our code can be done using a mechanism of object-oriented programming called inheritance, which is all that this session is about. We will see that with inheritance, that's a mechanism in which I take one class that I have already coded and make it better, give it some more things that it can do. We can do this extension of my code, of my classes, basically using two main mechanisms that we will see today. The first one is called overriding, and in this way of doing inheritance, I will take some part of the behavior of my original class, some attribute, maybe usually some method, and we will completely change it. We will have an original class and then an extended class that we will call a child class usually, a subclass too, and in my subclass I will change completely the way some behavior of the original class works. When I change completely something, that's called overriding the original class, and it's one of the ways to do inheritance. The other way that we will see is called extension. And in this case, my subclass, my child class, doesn't necessarily change anything that my original class does, but it adds new things to the functionalities that the original class had. Okay, and we will see quite a lot of examples of this, and we will use these override and extend mechanisms together and separately while looking at some examples. We will also see today, as the last thing, that once I have the inheritance mechanism, I can use it more than once. And today this will mean that I can have repeated inheritance. So I can have an original class and then extend or override it to have a child class, and then I can also extend or override the child class too. So I can end up with an original class, a child class, and a child class of a child class. Would that be a grandson class? Grandchild class? Well, we can have repeated inheritance. Okay, so we can inherit more than once. Like we can extend or override these characteristics of the class that I have more than once, and we will see quite a lot of examples of that. This is not the same as multiple inheritance, which will be the concept that we will deal with in a future session.